Partier City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
Okay, have we got our list about the Partier City Expats Club? Okay, thank you, Ren, because it's behind me so I can't see it. Okay. Right, this Sunday's speaker, excuse me, I left my other glasses at home, so I've got to work this one out. Okay, Dan Swartz has returned and he will speak on the topic of Facebook. Crypto is coming, how it could change your life and the planet. Facebook has launched Libra, their own stable coin, along with a host of blue chip collaborators. What does the future hold? Where will it go? Where will the markets go? And what has changed? What should you do about it? Dan is an author, investor, business owner, speaker, and well known in the cryptocurrency space and Bitcoin over-the-counter at OTC markets. Dan previously spoke to us with an interesting talk in December 2017 at the height of the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market further. A lot has happened in the last 20 months, having seen the cryptocurrency market at record highs and then crashing down, and now being back on the rebound in the past couple of months. He also gave a talk to the club 5 years ago on the topic, "No one has a bad memory." So, I'm not going to read the rest of it, there's a hell of a lot more, writing up all about him and what he is. I'm sure he's a great guy. So Dan, can I pass the market over to you, and you can come and talk.
Thank you very much. Yeah, last time I was here was December 2017 when Bitcoin was climbing, and I think in February or January it hit almost 20,000, then it crashed back down. I have some of that covered later. What I'm going to do, let's see. There we go. Overview. First thing, why I do what I do. Then I'll talk about Bitcoin and blockchain background, because not all of you maybe are at the same level of understanding. I'll try not to make it too detailed. My partner in crime and co-owner and co-founder of the company we work in, he's the expert at making it simple. I'll try and follow some of his example. Then we'll talk about Facebook Libra and why you should care. Because it's been in the news, it's been out. I'll go through and talk about what is Facebook Libra, because it's not exactly what most people might think it is. Then we'll talk a little bit about the glimpse into the future of cryptocurrency, because not just on Facebook, because Facebook Libra will have a big impact on what's going on if it ever gets launched officially. Then a little bit of predictions and closing thoughts and some rules to live by, then question and answer. Okay, so I'll get started. Why I do what I do. Let's see. There we go. That's my wife and my little one at the mall riding around. Everybody has a reason they do things. Family usually, or other reasons. Money by itself isn't everything. I find work is fun because I sure spend a lot of time working, so it better be fun. And if anybody is working and it isn't fun, go find something else to do. And it's always, people talk about, oh, I want to make more money, I want to get rich. Okay, when you have a certain amount of money, it's no longer about the money. Sure, if you need money to eat, pay your rent, pay your car payment or whatever, sure. But once you have that amount of money, it's really not about the money. It's what you can do with money. So my goal in a lot of these talks and in our businesses is help people make money. Help people protect what they have, learn, avoid scams and things like that. Because we were having a little discussion before, like, why is Bitcoin worth something? You know, little guys got hosed who bought Bitcoin at 20,000 and when it dropped down to 3,000. Well, if you sold, you did. If you follow some of the rules, you probably would have sold at a different time. But we'll go through this. So first, what's the need for blockchain and cryptocurrencies? Why? When people say why? What is this crypto stuff? Wasn't what we had good enough? Well, there's some pretty good reasons. Here's one. The world still runs a lot of cash. 85% of all transactions supposedly worldwide are cash. Cash is easy to steal. Cash is anonymous, truly anonymous. So if cash is anonymous, that's all the bad guys are pretty much trading in cash. And if you want to do a large transaction, you need a large amount of cash. And moving large amounts of cash is very difficult. And the governments track all that anyway. Anyone ever try to leave Thailand with more than 10,000 US equivalent? Anybody? Oh, did you fill out that piece of paper that says you were doing? See, he's smart. I'll tell you a funny story. One time when they talk about controlling cash, I didn't realize there's a rule in the Philippines that you can only leave with like 10,000 pesos. And we were in the Philippines and we had taken cash out of our bank account in Thailand from our Thai bank accounts, and we had slightly more than 10,000 pesos. And it was picked up by the X-ray when we were going through security. So the little customs dude, or actually the little police dude, said, "Hey, what's this?" And that cost a few bucks to enable us. He says, "Well, we can go there and you can do this and you can do that." And I said, "Yeah, we're going to miss our flight." Or you can do this. So we did what we had to do and got out of Dodge. But they don't like you moving around lots of cash. So there's a need for a better way. This one. Just the US alone, retail businesses lose $40 billion annually due to the theft of cash. So there's a need for something better. Also, for the banks and financial institutions, moving cash, settling trades in the stock market and all the financial markets, doing all that costs a lot of money. So having a new way to do it using cryptocurrency or cryptography and what's called the blockchain is a way to get there. So let's see.
Blockchain is nothing much more than a fancy kind of database.
Here we go.
As you know, databases have been around for a long time. You will use them every day to varying degrees of effect, and there's a lot of use of them going on behind the scenes that you don't feel in a first-hand or personal manner, but certainly generally help your lives get all.
I'll get it.
Back up.
Back up.
There we go.
A blockchain is nothing much more than a fancy kind of database. And as you know, databases have been around for a long time. You will use them every day to varying degrees of effect, and there's a lot of use of them going on behind the scenes that you don't feel in a first-hand or personal manner, but certainly generally help your lives get organized directly or indirectly in many different ways. This is a technology that enables institutions to do what they do already today using databases, but a lot quicker, a lot cheaper.
Or a lot slower.
That's okay, we can go to the next slide. I'll move it to the next slide, it's all right. Blythe Masters, she used to work for JP Morgan and managed $3.5 billion under assets. Then she left and was in a cryptocurrency. And we'll just go to the next one, it's okay. And here. Anyway, so she does that, and she talks about the big point that she's making is Bitcoin in and of itself isn't the thing. The underlying technology called this blockchain, this enables a public, trustless system. Right now, when you have a bank account and you use online banking, say, hey, we do digital, I just log into my K-Bank and 30 seconds later I can send Ron money or Red money, or they can send me money, I can pay my bills. What do I need this blockchain stuff? But you are trusting the bank, right? If the bank gets hacked, it's a central authority. And the good part about that is when you screw up, which inevitably happens, you accidentally send $15,000 to someone instead of $1,500, the bank is in control and the bank can unwind it. But the bank is also in control and they're a private company or public company. The bank goes bankrupt, bye-bye your money. So that's a risk. But when you get into blockchain, which is permissionless and it's trustless, you don't need to trust anybody because it's public. When I send some Bitcoin to somebody else's address, if I know it's Renaron's address, then I can see all the transactions in and out of that wallet. Some people, that blows their mind. I had a customer who we sent some crypto to, not Bitcoin, and he said, well, I don't know if I got it. I said, no, you got it. Here's the screenshot from the blockchain. There's your address. There you just received 7,250 of this coin. Oh, and you have some of these and some of these. He said, how the heck did you know all that? Because I know your address. If I know your address, because you gave it to me, then I can associate it with you. But nobody else knows. They just see these are transactions on the blockchain. But the beauty of that is they can't be changed. Once they're there, think about this, books. We have books out there, right? So if you have Steve Jobs' life history book, the biography of Steve Jobs, and first edition, so the editions are the same. If you buy it in Thailand, first edition, first word, page 1 of the actual book is the same in Ren's copy. If I go buy it down in Phuket from another bookstore with the exact same book, page 1's the same, word 1's the same.
And as you know, database has been around for a long time.
Word 2's the same, word 3's the same. So it's immutable. It's not going to change. And when you want to add a page, so if you think about blockchain in the sense it's like a book, when a new transaction comes, they add a new page, but the other 999 pages before it don't change. So having that's very powerful because then it eliminates the need for a lot of things and saves a lot of money. This is what she was saying. The banks, just the stock market, in terms of settlement, because now it takes like 2 or 3 days to settle, all of that. If they could put it on the blockchain, and they are all doing that, they could save many billions of dollars a year by doing it. So that's the real important thing, the blockchain. Bitcoin just happens to have been the first real good use of blockchain to create the first coins, Bitcoin. Now here's the next one that's important. This is Bill Gates talking back in 2016 when there were over 3 billion unbanked adults, unbanked people on the planet. 3 billion people without access to a bank account. If you don't have access to a bank account, how are you going to build any wealth? You have no place to keep any money. The only amount of money you can have is the cash that you have in your pocket, under your mattress, in a box. So that's a huge issue. 3 billion people. So this was Bill Gates was talking back about 2016, about 3 years ago.
We know the Gates Foundation for its work on infectious diseases, child health, nutrition, agriculture, education, the list goes on. Why does Bill Gates care about finance?
Well, it's all about helping the poorest. And one thing they don't have access to is bank accounts. The fee structure, if you have small amounts of money, is just too high. And we got involved in some traditional microlending, but just didn't see how that could scale up and get inexpensive enough. So now we're involved in trying to make sure we get a very efficient digital payment structure set up for all the poorest in the world to get financial products that work for them.
What are you doing?
The idea is that typically through the cell phone, you should be able to send money to your relatives. You should be able to track the money that's coming in, set aside money to buy seeds the next year. And there are countries where this is beginning to take off. Kenya, Bangladesh, even Somalia, maybe the last country you'd suspect up in Somaliland. Almost half of the GDP is done digitally.
I don't need to tell you that the poor have been unbanked for as long as there have been banks. Why is this time different?
Well, it's really the digital revolution. The poorest have bought cows, stored gold, put currency under their mattress, but they are getting cell phones, and the cell phone capability of identifying who's using the cell phone, letting you look at your spending patterns, that's going to be common sense. People are going to have help and lots of innovative products competing on top of this digital currency platform.
Okay, so think about that again, low-cost technology, low-cost phones a few years ago. Now, there are networks out there to support money transfer using their phones. And they don't have bank accounts, but they're still able to pay. So we're seeing that. But again, that's where this is going. This will be very clear in a little bit when I talk about Facebook, Labor Association, and all the pieces that are there. So how many users of Bitcoin? This is, again, yes, sir.
Just, if you don't mind, one question. You say, I'm going to transfer money from my phone to his phone. How does he get the money? How does the money come? Does he go to the bank still?
Oh, I talk about in those countries, he says, I want to transfer money from my phone to his phone.
That's what he said, right?
That's what he said. That's what they do. Depending on who he is, and maybe you can pay all your bills, for instance, by phone. And out in Africa, there's a network called M-Pesa, M-P-E-S-A.
But still, how does he get my money when I send it to him?
He can send it in his account. He can pay his cell phone bill, or he can go get the money from the cell phone company. Because they act like a bank almost. Okay, so that's how. But it's really to enable you to pay bills and move money around just using your cell phone. And with the price of cell phones coming way down, I mean, heck, I was in 7-Eleven seeing True having phones with big displays, halfway decent processors, what would have been state-of-the-art 3 years ago for 2,000 baht, 2,990 baht. So you're seeing that ability. So then that will enable more and more and more. You just look and do all your stuff on the phone. Just to give you an idea, how many blockchain wallets? Okay, blockchain is Bitcoin blockchain wallets. Up to 34 million blockchain wallets. 34 million wallets that can hold Bitcoin. There's 7.x billion people on the planet. So we're still early days for cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Yes?
Yeah, I just wondered, what if your phone gets hacked?
Sorry, we have Q&A at the end.
Yeah, we'll do Q&A. Keep that thought. That's a good question. Ask it later. But just tells you, it's still in the infancy.
So this is important, right? We have Q&A at the end for a reason, because half the time people ask questions that are going to be answered in the course of talk. Please ask your questions at the end. Thank you. I'm not trying to stop you asking a question.
Say your question so I answer. That's a good question. Don't forget that one. But this just tells you it's still, in the big scheme of things, relatively small. Distribution of Bitcoin. Just gives you an idea. There's 20 million. Now, these addresses don't exactly match the blockchain ones for anybody who's going to add them up in your head. I'm just warning you they don't match. But there's a website that you can find all the rich Bitcoin addresses. Just Google Bitcoin rich list. You'll get this list. But it's kind of illustrated. 100,000 to 1 million Bitcoins in a single address. There are 4 wallets in existence in the world that have that many Bitcoin in it. Worth $6.2 billion, 529,000 Bitcoin. 10,000 to 100,000 Bitcoin, there are 104 wallets that have at least 10,000 Bitcoin. Now, nothing stops anybody from having 10 wallets. And smart people who have lots of Bitcoin do not put all of their Bitcoin in a single wallet of any kind, because in case their phone gets hacked or their accounts get hacked. But the really big ones, just so you know, those are exchange wallets, these big trading exchanges. That's their cold wallets where they offline store a lot of Bitcoin. But it just tells you the distribution. 0 to 0.001 Bitcoin, what's that, 12 million addresses. Up to 0.01 Bitcoin, 6 million addresses. So it's pretty highly distributed. To a lot of people have a little bit of Bitcoin, and a few people have a real lot of Bitcoin. But you can go find all this. This is all public information. Just search it. And a lot of these big wallets are marked. You know, if you go search the #1 wallet right now, I think is Binance's cold wallet. When you see #1, it has its address, how much Bitcoin, and a little note that says Binance cold wallet. So that's why this is called pseudo-anonymous. Because you can go look it up, and if I knew it's Binance and people know Binance's address, but that's also important to remember. Now, let's take a look at venture capitalists into Bitcoin investments. This is cryptocurrency investments by Pantera. But this just gives you an idea of all of the places and types of cryptocurrency blockchain companies that are in existence. I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing to see, look, you have infrastructure. So these are all infrastructure projects and companies. Half of them I've never heard of, but these are all infrastructure. Enterprise, stuff for companies. Banking and payments. BitPesa is the Bitcoin equivalent of M-Pesa. Ripple, most people have heard of Ripple. It's a banking currency. Honest Go is Thailand-based. It's a payments company. Then art, entertainment, credit and lending, pure cryptocurrency investments, data, identity. People are putting their identity stuff on the blockchain. Why? Because your identity shouldn't change over time unless you're hiding. Gaming, lots of gaming. Lots of trading and exchanges. There's huge amounts. Coins.ph is the main company for coins.co.th, which is a Bitcoin payments company. And that's a very simple, easy way for people to be able to use Bitcoin in Thailand. Buy and sell, real simple, pay all your bills. But you can see all of this area. Then a whole bunch of others, such wallets and where they choose to put. But you can see there is a huge gamut of applications for this technology called blockchain. That's not all Bitcoin, that's blockchain. And one reason, some people will say, why is it taking so long for Bitcoin to basically take off, right? Because 2009 is when the white paper came out. I think the first Bitcoin 2010, 9 years. Well, nobody centrally controls Bitcoin. There is no Bitcoin company. So because there is no Bitcoin company, there wasn't somebody that sits there and says, I'm going to spend money this way and create this, and this so I can make money. The guys who created it were techies. And this is what turned. In my original presentation, I had a picture of the dude that bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. He's wishing he didn't do that now, probably. But the point being, there's the important point. There's a very important point. No central authority controls Bitcoin. None. So if no central authority controls it, it kind of goes the way it's going to go. And now you're starting to see all these cool things. You're starting to see all these cool wallets. You're starting to see all these cool apps to make it easy. The reason it has taken so long is, again, no central control. Nobody decided, I'm going to build a wallet, I'm going to do this. Now, if I was working on a project, we have customers we work on projects for, I'd say, make it easy. What's the first question anybody has? How many people have Bitcoin wallets in the room? Not many. Oh, a few. Yeah, no, Ron has one. If you need help, set one up. Ron's the master of simplicity. He'll teach you everything you need to know, and don't worry about all the garbage you don't need to know. But the point being, not that many people have them. Not that many people have them. This is the internet, 1994. That's what it is, because again, since there's no central control, some guy at coins.ph had the vision, I want to set up a payments company. I want to integrate, I want to go all the way through Southeast Asia, because there's coins.my, coins.co.th to do that. The Bitcoin guys don't own Bitcoin, so that's why it's taken this long. But it's amazing what you can see out there, just in what this one venture capitalist has done. So now, with a little bit of background on the history of Bitcoin and how we got to where we are, Facebook Libra. How many people have heard of Facebook Libra? Okay, good. So people have heard of it. Facebook, how many people like Facebook? Yeah, that's funny. It's a love-hate relationship. Here's the deal with Facebook. My eldest son, a few of you have met my eldest son, he's not on Facebook. He's been off Facebook for a long time. So no, I'm not going to give him all my data. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. But I use Facebook for 3 things. One, business. We promote on Facebook. There's 2.4 billion users of Facebook. You can't ignore that if you're in business. That's where people are. 2, family. I see what's happening with my crazy cousins and my father and other relatives and all that because they're on Facebook and I can see they post, oh, we're on vacation, we're here, we're eating this. I get funny messages from my cousin when I used to post when we were going to eat. Says, I don't need to see what you're eating, cuz. I tell them the same stuff. And then the last one is keeping track or keeping up with people I grew up with who I've never, not lost touch with. I don't see them personally. They're in Connecticut, a lot of them. And see the people I went to high school with, the people I went to college with. So that's what I use Facebook for. So why the hell did I get off? And people say, oh, but they have this, they have that. Well, okay, so does Google. And it looks like the two of them talk to each other. Because I go search for stuff, and then in my Facebook feed, I start seeing ads for the hotels I was just searching for on Google. It's a little bit freaky, but is what it is. Okay, so what is Facebook Libra? And why should I care? Maybe you care, maybe you don't care, but this is why, at least in my opinion. This is taken from Facebook material and articles written about it. This is not stuff I made up. This is what people are saying. This is what Facebook themselves are saying. So what is it? This is Libra is proposed as a way to pay people or companies globally without a fee. Payments company. Think about that. Globally without a fee. And eventually, it might be a form of payment, contracts, loans, and insurance. Starting to sound a little bit like a bank. That's why they're getting lots of trouble in Senate and all this stuff. We'll see that in a minute. Second point, Libra plus Calibra. Who's heard of Calibra? Who knows what Calibra is? Okay, a few people, so I'll cover that in a second too. Combo of Libra and Calibra allows Facebook to provide loans, credit, money transfers, e-commerce with the simplicity this currently allows for person-to-person communication. As easy as I can send you a message, they want to enable you to send and receive money and loans and things like that. So this is going to really turn Facebook and their partners into a bank, a very large bank. So it's probably better over here. Now, back to this banked and unbanked. And then we'll talk about, when I talk a little bit about the analysis, because 7 billion people in the world, 1.7 billion are unbanked. So in the last few years, a few more people got bank accounts, or the way these guys are doing the counting is different than the way the guys who did it with Bill Gates did it. But it's still a huge problem. 1.7 billion people do not have bank accounts. 31% of the population. So, what's the mission of Libra? Simple global currency financial infrastructure empowering billions of people. Revamp money, revolutionize the global economy for better life. Sounds like a really good mission, but we know Facebook is behind this, so we'll see. Vision. Libra is a cryptocurrency built on blockchain technology, send, spend, secure money, more comprehensive global financial system. Facebook and partners, they're going to be the next generation finance. That's what that says. So, who's in Libra? I won't go all through all these, and the next one breaks them down by kind of company. But there's some familiar faces. Vodafone, telephone, bookings, Andreessen Horowitz. That's Mark Andreessen, the guy that invented Netscape, the first browser. MasterCard, Visa, Stripe, which is a payment company, eBay, Spotify, Zappa, wallet company, Facebook, and Calibra, front and center at the bottom, PayPal. These are the people that are actually part of Libra. It's not Facebook's. Facebook launched it, but it's an association. So if you get an idea of the Libra Association, that's who manages Libra. You have to be in the association to be part of it. Facebook is leading, Facebook is in front, but all of those companies are in it. And to join, $10 million. So every one of the companies to be able to be a processing node in the network, and to be part of it has to put up $10 million. But look what you have. You have payments companies, MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, Stripe. I don't know those. Technology marketplace companies, eBay, Lyft, Spotify, Uber, Booking Holdings, Telecom, Iliad, and Vodafone. Blockchain companies, Coinbase. Coinbase is the first unicorn, billion-dollar valuation blockchain company out of the U.S. Venture capitalists, nonprofit and multilateral and academic institutions. So they have a pretty broad group that are behind this Libra. So it's not just Facebook, but they're out front, so they're taking most of the arrows. So why is Facebook leading this? This is my opinion and others. This is why Facebook is leading this. That application is a Facebook application called Calibra. They set up a separate subsidiary company that, I guess because of security reasons, because they don't want the Facebook stuff supposedly to be integrated with the finance stuff, so it's owned by Facebook, but it's a separate company. Everybody who has Facebook Messenger will have a Calibra wallet. Think about that. Calibra wallet financial powerhouse. How many banks do you know open their doors the first day with 2.4 billion customers? None. I mean, that's why they're doing this for sure. 2.4 billion Facebook users, it's integrated into everything. That's a way they see they can make a ton of money. Now, here's some comments on the future of Libra. CZ Binance, that's Cheng Zhao, who's the founder of Binance, which is the largest or close to the largest cryptocurrency exchange. They make more profits than Deutsche Bank. They have like 3,000 total employees, and I think Deutsche Bank has 150,000. They make more profits than Deutsche Bank does, so they do pretty well. He said Facebook Libra coin doesn't need KYC, know your customer. Because why? Everybody on Facebook gets access to Libra coin. Facebook knows way more about you than your name and address. And if they need you to do more KYC, to upload, because like if you ever get a coins.co.th account, you upload a picture of your passport or your ID. But they know everything you like. They know where you go, what groups you're in. They know a hell of a lot more than anybody else does. Could Facebook Libra become the largest distributed application network today? Again, 2.4 billion users. It's kind of mind-boggling. So if you think of the power of 2.4 billion users from day one. Now, think about this. All these guys in these countries that have trouble getting banks, they have trouble doing things, but they all have access to Facebook. Not every country, but most countries. Well, if I have access to it and it's easy and it's already integrated and I don't have to do anything, what's the probability I'm going to use it? Pretty high, right? So that's why they're doing this. I like this one. Facebooks, in Zuck we trust. Now, I thought that was kind of hilarious. Not that many people trust Zuckerberg and trust Facebook, which is part of their problem. Yeah, this Criptocurrency did a Libra coin analysis, so I grabbed a couple of excerpts from their analysis, which I thought were quite useful. Facebook has a few issues to deal with. Libra has a few issues they need to deal with going forward. Did anybody watch the Senate hearings when they were getting grilled over this? Okay. One, think about this one. This also is universally applicable when you look at cryptocurrencies, the definition of a security. The definition is kind of important because if you get it wrong and the government's nice to you, they just take away all the money you raise. If you get it wrong and the government isn't nice to you, they take away all the money you raised and they put you in jail. So that's kind of a bad thing. So here's the definition. Anything that takes in money, invests that money, issues tokens in exchange for that money and promises the holders of those tokens security of value based on that investment is either an investment firm or a bank, which is true. The pure definition of a security is I give you some money and I pray that you do something good with my money and you make me more money. I just sit back on my ass and do nothing and collect. That's clearly a security. So that's one area they got to worry about. Facebook's been facing regulatory issues itself. Remember the use of the Cambridge Analytica data, the whole election thing and targeting fake accounts and trolls. And Facebook hasn't been known to be playing by the rules when it comes to privacy data and how they do things. Facebook kind of does what Facebook does, and then they seem to follow. There's two ways you can use lawyers. How many have ever heard this? There are two ways you can use lawyers. One way you use lawyers is you run everything through the lawyers first, then you get nothing done because it takes forever to get anything back from the lawyers, or you use them the other way. You do what you're going to do, and you have very good lawyers to get your butt out of trouble when you do something wrong. They seem to appear to follow the second one, use the lawyers to get themselves out of trouble. But Facebook is losing the grip. They acquired WhatsApp, Instagram. They're doing all kinds of things, and they're getting into something not entirely regulated and controversial in most countries, a cryptocurrency. So that's why you see some of these articles about Facebook. Valuation and backing. It talks about it being a stable coin. Here's the definition of a stable coin. A stable coin is a cryptocurrency backed by something targeted to have a constant value or a near constant value. That's what a stable coin is. So the idea is there is a cryptocurrency called USDT, US dollar tether, whose goal is to be backed one for one, token by token, $1 of USDT tokens backed by $1 of US money sitting in an investment account or a bank account somewhere. So that way it trades sometimes lower than $1 because some people don't trust the people behind USDT and trust that there's actually $1. That's part of it. But basically it trades for around $1. So that way if you want to get in and out of cryptocurrencies, other ones that are volatile, say, oh, I think Bitcoin's going down, so let me convert to dollars so I can buy this USDT. So that's what all stablecoin is. Because, think about this for a minute. I have this with my wife. I get paid in Bitcoin when I do things. Not always, but customers pay us in Bitcoin. So it's including reimbursement for travel expense. So my wife would say, well, when do you get reimbursed? You know, because you submitted, your invoice was 4,000 US and your expenses that came out of our Thai bank account was 2,000 US equivalent. So they're going to send you $6,000 in Bitcoin. When are they going to send it? Oh, I'm going to send it tomorrow. She goes, when did it hit? You have it? Yeah, I got 6,000. Cash it out immediately. Like, but I like Bitcoin. But she goes, no. That's your pay for the work you did. And more importantly, it's funny how it's but we took that money out of our Thai bank account. It was worth $2,000. If Bitcoin goes down 8% between now and when you cash it in, we just lost 8% of the money that you spent to travel for them. That's pretty stupid. I thought for a second. I said, yeah, okay, hit the cash out button, get the money, because it can go down. So that's the reason for having these kind of stable coins. So Libra coin, though, they say it's backed by the Libra Association's reserve. We don't know exactly what that is, but it's not pegged to the dollar with a 1-to-1 ratio, so you can't consider it to be actually a stable coin. But what they're intending to do is the association is going to have assets that back it, so it'll be able to maintain a value. Because here's the important thing. If you sell something for $5 US, I would like to pay $5 US, and you would like to receive $5 US because you have your costs. Well, if the thing I'm paying you in can go up and down 8, 10, 15, 20% in a matter of a day or days, and that's semi-normal, that's not real good for a payments coin. It's good for speculating. Ups and downs are great if you're speculating and trading. Not so good for an expenses perspective. Final observation, this again out of the report, and comment from this report. Libra is using blockchain, launching currency, similar to credit card reward points. It's going to function a lot like a large bank. JP Morgan Chase saw this. That's why JPM came out with their own JPM coin and their own JPM blockchain, because they're going to have to combat this. They don't have 2.4 billion customers like Facebook does. So that's basically what they said. Facebook's created Libra with the intention to disrupt and dominate the regulated payment service providers. However, you notice PayPal is part of Libra. They're not stupid. They do it wrong, they're out of business. So better join them or be obliterated. And the banks are the ones that are going to be scared, severely scared by this. So that's why there's going to be all this regulatory stuff. Because the banks say, hey, I can't play by those rules, but you're letting them. So it's not a slam dunk, but they have lots of money, they have lots of powerful backers, they have lots of partners. So I expect to see that it will happen. So a quick look at what's happened in 2019 in the world of cryptocurrency, and then I'll close. Some blockchain predictions that were made earlier. Development focus moves from tech to user experience. It has to. Bitcoin came out of tech. Bitcoin is still relatively hard, right? How many people think getting cryptocurrencies, using them, accessing them, buying them, selling them is easy? Nobody. It's really not that easy. It's relatively simple, but there are many things you have to do, so it is not easy. It's like, again, internet 1994. You know, look at the experience we have now, mobile, responsive mobile and all that. So We're seeing the move, because there's some really slick wallets out there that make it real easy with your mobile phone. Whip out your credit card, you'll pay for the convenience and buy some cryptocurrency. But it's easy now, getting it. Blockchain evolves from experimental projects to tangible products, we're seeing that. Proof of stake, don't worry about that, that's a techie thing. Top 10 social networks can integrate blockchain. Well, they're launching their own. Sovereign nation launches digital currencies, several have, the Petro out of Venezuela. A lot of them trying to break dollar dependence. So if they can launch their own coin themselves and accept it and make it tradable, then they break the dependence on the US, which in a lot of cases is a good thing, at least in their mind. Every sovereign nation should look out for their own sovereign interest. Gaming still a big driver, consumer blockchain. There's all kinds of games, dice games, betting games, pretty cool, all on the blockchain. And regulation moves blockchain from fringes to mainstream. We're starting to see regulations come out to get rid of some of this murkiness and get rid of the wild, wild west and a lot of the scams. Blockstack, first true test following the SEC approval to raise $28 million on a blockchain. They actually went through, they have a security token, and got approval by the US Securities and Exchange Commission to raise money as a security. It cost them $2 million. The co-founder and chief executive Blockstack during the Token Summit in New York, Thursday, May 16th, talking about the fact they're raising money on the blockchain and they were the first approved by the SEC. There's another one, first SEC approved consumer token, props, consumer-facing token, basically to pay you to look at ads. If you're going to go through the hassle of looking at ads online, they're going to inject you, why shouldn't you get paid something for looking at those ads? So that's that one. But the important point is we're seeing consumer and fundraising applications using blockchain approved by the government, approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Market volatility is still high. Anybody hear of Plus Token? Anybody heard of that? Well, Plus Token was this wallet system. People put money in to a wallet, hold their Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. They promised them a return. And they were supposedly trading all the Bitcoin that they got, and they would trade, make the return, give you their tokens, and their tokens were trading. You could cash them in and get money. So they were converting their tokens for your Bitcoin. You were giving them your Bitcoin. Well, it turns out, like all Ponzi schemes, they decided enough's enough, and they really weren't trading, and they've been liquidating, which is some of the reason why prices have been a little volatile, up and down mostly in the last 2 weeks, because they've been liquidating hundreds of Bitcoin at a time per day. They've moved something like 30,000 Bitcoin, which at today's price is $300 million. Then there are crypto tycoons out there. Chris Larson, remember I mentioned Ripple? He's the founder of Ripple Labs. So he holds a lot of Ripple, and Ripple's, I think, the second or third most valuable cryptocurrency. It's a little bit controversial, but he's got 7 to 8 billion in crypto. Joseph Lubin, 1 to 5 billion. Changpeng Zhao, CZ, he's the founder of Binance, between $1 and $2 billion worth of crypto personal. Then you have Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss twins, the ones who invented Facebook before Zuckerberg and then fought and sued, so these guys went into crypto. They're worth $1 billion. So you have a lot of people personally worth, in crypto only, $1 billion. I was talking to these gentlemen over there, some of my friends and new friends, about the crypto markets in general. If you go to coinmarketcap.com, it lists all the trading pairs of coins that have qualified to be listed on coinmarketcap.com. The total value as of about an hour ago of all trading cryptocurrency right now is $264 billion. That's everything. 6 to 7 trillion a day gets traded in the foreign exchange markets. Apple, Google, Microsoft individually are worth $1 trillion. Crypto is still early days at $264 billion total value of all crypto. So it is definitely subject to wide volatility and fluctuations. All it takes is some guy with $1 billion worth of Bitcoin to say, I'm not happy right now, and sell 300 million of them. $300 million quickly. The market liquidity, that'll crash the price. And then people trade on margin. just like stocks, just like penny stocks. So, price starts going down, what happens? Margin call, sell, they have all those sells, and then the price keeps going down. That's just what happens. So that's a big explanation for the volatility. Second explanation for volatility in crypto, remember people when I was here last time, it hit 20,000 bucks approximately the month afterwards and crashed down to like 3,100 early this year? That's because the big boys, Wall Street, couldn't get in 2017 easily. There were no custodial solutions. They didn't have a way as a hedge fund to safely manage their investors' assets and keep them in crypto. So because of that, they didn't get in a big way. Some of the crypto funds were in, but the big boys, they didn't get in. Well, they weren't getting in at 18,000 a Bitcoin. 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, much better entry point. And you can see that here. This is 2019 prices of Bitcoin. Blue is, market cap, green's price. So the price was between, 3,000 and change back in January. Quick rise, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. 12,000 now, it was 11,000 and change. It dropped down to like 9,400 in the last couple days. It's back, I think this morning, 10,200. But first rule of a real market, even though this is still subject to some manipulation, you have to worry about that a little bit. What goes up does come down. Down. Big ups and downs. Big ups and downs this year. Then up and down. Doesn't continually go up. So first thing, anybody ever shows you an investment of any kind that just has a straight line up, run quickly. This shows you the history of Bitcoin back to day one when CoinMarketCap was tracking back in 2013. You can see this was the super duper high, about 20,000. January 2018, super duper low in 2018 from 20 down to 6, back up to 12, down to 7, up to 9, down to 6, up to 7. You can see this ever lower highs, and then down, and then crashed down a bit early this year into the 3s, and then it's been moving up quite nicely. You know, somebody got into Bitcoin early this year, they're real happy. 3,100 they could have got in. And it hit a high so far this year of 12,000. So that's the illustration. What goes up does come down. You just have to pay attention to that. Some final thoughts. This is important. How many people know the first rule of cryptocurrency? Ron can't, no, that's not, no, that one doesn't count. Ron can't answer. Who knows the first rule of cryptocurrency? Okay, I'll tell you. It's a very simple rule. Only put into cryptocurrency your speculative money that the minute you put it into cryptocurrency, you assume it is gone. If you do that, when Bitcoin drops 3% in the last 5 minutes, you're not looking at your phone, oh my God, what am I going to do? You're not going to freak out. I mean, this used to freak me out because I ran a company that we accepted payments in Bitcoin. We made all our payments in Bitcoin, but our stuff was priced in US dollars. So I'll never forget this. This is when things were volatile. I'd be in the system at 2 o'clock in the morning, get ready to go to bed, and I'd see, oh, the current balance in our crypto payment processor account is 46,500 US dollar equivalent when I went to bed. Wake up at 6:30, I get an email anytime anybody pays. When they buy something, it says, oh, you have a new member. Oh, you have a new member. He bought this, he bought that. You just received this, you just received that. Well, that's pretty cool. I got like 15 orders in the last 4 hours while I was sleeping because we had American and Canadian customers. A lot of members were from there. And 4 o'clock in the morning for us is 4 o'clock in the afternoon in New York, 1 o'clock in the West Coast. Awesome! Then I go log in to the payment processor. $46,000 current US dollar equivalent in the account. It was 46.5 when I went to bed. I got all these orders. I got a bunch of Bitcoin came in, some Bitcoin, some Litecoin, some Ethereum, and it's worth less. That's a very bad feeling. But it's the business, and that was the payment processor. It wasn't, had to keep it liquid because you got to pay people. You have to do things all, and you had no choice. And that's the business. You just don't put all of it. But the point is, rule one, only put money you're prepared to lose. Because if it goes down 8% from last week to this week, or 12% over the weekend, which has happened, you don't freak out. Not saying you're happy, but you're not going to freak out because, okay, it's the money, it's my speculative money. And if you believe, if you're in crypto and you believe Bitcoin and the pundits and all the analysis that say Bitcoin's going to be 20, 50, 100, 150,000, depending on your time horizon, end of year, 6, 9 months, 18 months, 36 to 60 months. If you believe that, then you'll sleep very well at night. You put money that you're not afraid to lose, so you don't need it to pay the kids' school fees, pay your house payment, or anything. So that's very important. If you believe it's going to go to 20, 50, 100, 150, having it go from 12 to 9, which is done in the last few weeks, isn't going to freak you out. It might convince you to buy more because of that belief, presuming again it's money, that is your speculative money. So that's rule one. Again, rule two, mindset that I just been talking about. If your mindset says it's going to be 20, 50, 100, 150, your upside is way bigger than your downside. It's at $11,000 this morning, or $10,700. It's not going to go to zero unless it got totally outlawed everywhere, but it's highly unlikely when all the banks, all the Wall Street folks, all the hedge funds are trying to buy Bitcoin. It's not going to go to zero. So your downside risk is 10,000 down to what? 3,000 again? They talk about potential if things got bad, maybe 1,500, 2,000. Okay, go from 10 to 2, you're going to lose 8,000 of Bitcoin. Goes from 10 to 20, you're going to make 10,000 of Bitcoin, so you're ahead. If you believe it's going to get 50 at some point, 10 to 50 is positive 40 versus negative 8, worst case. So if your mindset is there, again, you'll sleep better at night. There are amazing technological and user developments going on and regulatory developments. Very important because institutional investors don't get in when there's lots of uncertainty. Especially they don't want to be caught doing something illegal on purpose, by mistake. They do illegal stuff anyway, but they know they're doing it. They prefer not to get caught doing something they didn't know was illegal. So having a regulatory framework. Check, it's working. Having a regulatory framework is important. Dollar cost average, my good friend Ron says, hey, when Bitcoin goes up, I sell some. And that way I get some more money than I started with because it went up. And then when it goes down a bit, I buy a little bit more and I get some when we get paid. So as it goes up, I take profits. Dollar cost average, as it goes down, buy more. The first rule of stocks, right? Just have a set amount that you're going to put in. Again, this is your speculative money. But have a set amount, whatever it is. Bitcoin went up, great, I get less. Bitcoin went down, I get more. Over time, you'll get ahead. Take profits is very important. Do not get caught up in the greed. Oh, wow, it's up 87%. Let it ride. I'm going to compound. I'm going to compound. I'm going to compound. And you're in a Ponzi scheme, and they compound it away with all your money. So take your profits. Very important. And the last one, just get in the game. It's so easy if you live in Thailand especially. It is the simplest thing to do to get a little bit of Bitcoin. You go to coins.co.th. They even take Americans. The x.in.th does not take Americans. I tried to get an account. It says we do not accept American citizens. My wife has an account, but I don't. Coins.co.th is easy. Anybody can do it, right, Ron? You did it, right? Now Ron can help you, but it's really simple. And you can buy itty bitty little bits, and you can pay all your bills. It's designed as a payments company. So it's really simple. So get in the game and get a little bit. That's the only way you're going to learn anything. And then there's more complicated stuff. Because it's not simple to trade. Like, well, how do I get some Ethereum? Not as simple. How do I do this? How do I do that? Not as simple, but there are apps out there. There's a wallet app, real easy. Load it on your phone. Oh, I want to buy some of this basket of cryptocurrencies, one of the top 20. Whip out your credit card and buy some. Easy. You pay 7.5% premium for the privilege because that's what the credit card company because they got to move the money and they have all this high risk stuff because it's crypto. But you can get some. It's as simple as that. So as I said, technologically, User experience wise, that's where all the movement is, to make it easy. Anytime we work on a project and I talk to any customer for working on a project relative to them implementing their own cryptocurrency, make it easy or people aren't going to do it. So with that, I believe my contact details are here. I'm the head of 3T Network out of Singapore. We're also co-owners of BizPay Thailand, which is a barter company based originally. The parent company's in Hong Kong. The crypto company is in Singapore. That's the crypto project. We've been working on the crypto project for a while. We liked it so much that we took the master franchise for Thailand. So with that, I will open it up to questions.
May I just remind you, only one question at any one time. If time permits, you can have your second question. Now, seeing I've got the mic here, could I have the first one?
Yes, you can.
What happens if a government shuts down the internet?
What happens if the government shuts down the internet?
Correct.
You still have all your Bitcoin.
How are you going to get it?
Actually, there are blockchains running that don't require the government's internet independently. The government doesn't totally control the internet. I mean, in Thailand, they could shut down the gateway between Thailand and the rest of the world if they wanted to.
That's correct.
But that doesn't do anything to your Bitcoin. You still have your Bitcoin.
How are you going to get it though?
If all governments shut down all of the internet, you might have a little bit of a problem to quickly do it, but the probability that's pretty low. That would be the only case if all governments together decided to make it illegal and shut down the internet. But you can't shut down the internet. You're going to shut down all the power in the country? That's what I'm saying. They're not going to.
I've had my question.
That's a very, very small probability that the government's going to shut the internet totally. Yeah, Jeffrey.
And I'm just interested a little in the history. It says a person named Dorian Sakamoto or a group of people.
Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah, can you just speak about the mystery around?
Well, the mystery is nobody's exactly sure who this Satoshi Nakamoto is, who wrote and created Bitcoin. There's discussion, it was a group of people, it's a pseudonym. This guy Craig Wright out of Australia said, oh, I'm him, and John McAfee said I'm gonna expose who he is, and then I think I just saw something in the news, the real Satoshi Nakamoto is gonna say something. So, I don't know, it sounds good. Sounds good, but the fact remains there is 1 million Bitcoin untouched in the original wallet. That wallet has 1 million untouched Bitcoins. Somebody else had asked a question earlier, I'll touch on that when I showed you, what's happening, how many Bitcoin and all that. There's approximately 17.8 million Bitcoin in existence right now. And they're mined, and the mining's gonna have, the rewards are gonna have, so it's gonna take a long time to get to 21 million Bitcoin, long time. Of the 17.7 or 8 million Bitcoin that have been created, 1 million are stuck in the original wallet by Satoshi Nakamoto, whomever that may be. There's anywhere from 1.5 to 3 million Bitcoin lost. Because they weren't worth much in the beginning. They were easy to get. People threw out their hard drive, threw out their computer. They didn't have easy wallets. It was in their hard drive. And there's one guy searching the landfill to find his old computer and hard drive, because he remembered he had a bunch of Bitcoin in there when Bitcoin hit, a reasonable amount of money, and then all of a sudden that became a real lot of money. So anyway, next question.
When you were pointing out the disadvantages of cash, you said that it could be stolen, but I do believe that Bitcoin has also been stolen, and there was another incident where one of the exchanges founders died unexpectedly, and he was the only person that had the password to operate things.
That's Quadriga in Canada. Thanks for bringing this one up, because this is an important issue. All of these exchanges, the company ones, they are companies. Coinbase is a company. Quadriga in Canada is a company. When you put your Bitcoin in their system, it's an online system. They're almost like a bank in that sense, but they're not regulated like a bank. They hold the private keys to your Bitcoin. To the way Bitcoin and all crypto works, there's a public key, which is your address. that you give to people. Here's my 0x1 32 64 157 ABCD address. And then there's a private key that decodes it and enables me to accept and unlock that Bitcoin. If you have my private key, you can take all my Bitcoin. Well, when you are on an exchange, when you use coins.co.th, same thing. Send Bitcoin to coins.co.th. I don't have control over the Bitcoin. They do. It's in their wallet. I have a login that says I have 0.63 Bitcoin worth 200,000 baht. That's my balance. But if Coins goes out of business tomorrow, I'm SOL. Bye-bye my Bitcoin, potentially. Or hack. The original hack was Mt. Gox in Japan. $400 million worth of Bitcoin at those prices years ago. They've been recovering and liquidating. That's also impacted price over the last year and a half, the liquidator was. But that is a risk. That's why you keep it under your control. Again, it's a personal thing. I had a meeting with someone who said, well, I want to get one of these hardware devices called a Nano Ledger X. They also have treasures. It's basically a USB stick that has code, and that's where your private keys are for your crypto. The only way to move crypto from your wallet when you have it on one of those devices, that device has to be plugged into your computer. If that ain't plugged in, your crypto's going nowhere. You're in total control. But it comes down to how much money you have relative to your total wealth tied up in these things, to where you're going to keep it, what's your level of comfort. You have that risk. You brought it up. You know, these places get hacked. If they get hacked, they don't get hacked too bad. They have enough money, enough reserves, they pay everybody back. Like Binance got hacked for 40 million bucks, but they trade 2 billion, 1.5 billion a day, so they're making it up to people. Quadriga, that could be an exit scam also. You don't know he's dead. There's no proof the guy's dead. It's kind of far-fetched. But all those people, I think it's 200 million Canadian, may be gone. But how much money do you have relative to your personal worth sitting in places you don't have control? It's a personal comfort level. Blockchain wallet runs on your phone. Never been hacked ever. But the Bitcoin's effectively live. I mean, if I open my blockchain wallet and I have 27 Bitcoin in it, I can just click, send, receive, and it's there. But I know a guy personally showed me his blockchain wallet with 2,000 Bitcoin in it. 2,000 Bitcoin. Today's prices, that's $200 million. No, $20 million, sorry. 11 grand. 20 million bucks walking around on his phone. You brought the question up, who asked the question over here about 2FA, right? Or lose your phone, right? Hello, he's looking at his phone. You asked the question about what happens if I lose my phone, right? I can do all this payment stuff in my phone.
What if you got hacked?
What if I get hacked? Depends how you get hacked, depends how you set things up. If you set them up correctly, the chance of getting hacked are very low. But you could still get hacked if you have your Bitcoin or crypto live. You could get hacked, your phone could get hacked, and you could lose your Bitcoin. It is a possibility. You got to take personal responsibility for these things. Use Google Authenticator. You know, don't just use SMS, because we had a talk by a crypto expert or a security person saying SMS, convenient, OTP, one-time passwords, SMS. But they can fake out the telephone system, they can clone your phone, they can get your number, have my number ring on Ron's phone so that he can make the request. The SMS thinks it's going to my phone, but they hack the system so it's going to his phone, so he's able to click yes and the money goes to him instead of to me. So you have to be careful of those. But again, it comes down to personal preference, convenience. If you're going to trade, you have to leave your crypto in the exchange. That's the only way you're going to trade, because it's a pain in the ass to keep it all on one of these USB sticks. They are not so simple to use. They are not as simple. They're not impossible, but they're not meant to be super convenient. They're cold storage. So you keep it on the exchange. That's what you do. One more question over here.
Daniel, thanks for coming.
Hey, Roger.
You mentioned Bill Gates trying to get these unbanked people to be able to send money from phone to phone. Where does the poor person who has the phone that wants to send money to pay, where does his money come from? Where is
Cash.
the money?
Cash.
How is he putting cash on his phone?
He goes to, if you use the Africa example, M-Pesa is the mobile company. Go to 7-Eleven, you can do it here.
It's like a Western Union.
No, not necessarily Western Union, it's like 7-Eleven. Just go, put the money, and you load your phone. Same thing with M-Pesa. I have some cash. I go to the mobile phone place, and I can load my phone with $10 or $20, and then I can send 5 to Ron because he needs $5 to do something. I can send 5 to you and 5 to Brian and keep 5 on my phone to pay my phone bill and whatever else.
Just like paying your phone bill or your electric bill down at.
Yes, I mean, that's how it does it. But the one other fallacy about Facebook, Libra, and all that, bank the unbanked, if I don't have a bank account, how am I going to buy Libra? They haven't answered that question yet.
On your left. Okay, this is the last question, please.
Hi Dan. Before coming to here, I did my research on Libra. There are many videos out there, very few, if any, positive comments about it. One of the jokes coming around right now is that if you want to rob a bank, make a bank. And I think that's what Facebook is doing right now. And if you look, the way of the structure, you've got these companies that they want to put the... Okay, can you hear me? If you want to, what we've got these companies like Visa, PayPal, companies that I hate to deal with. They're all corporations for profit. The money that you put in, they can invest in whatever they want. As you mentioned, they put in $10 million, it's all limited. That's why Facebook wants to keep that operation separate. So when it goes tips off, if it does, they will have no liability, it will be limited. And same thing with Visa, PayPal. They put in $10 million, you put your money in Libra, they can invest it wherever they want. Toxic mortgages, derivatives, junk bonds, you name it, so they can make a profit. And that is how that will work. People have been analyzing this, can barely keep a straight face when interviewing. The problems are measured. Also, you've got to look at Facebook. They are in the business of selling data. They have a reputation for spying, reselling private data. If you go in with these Visa cards, and usually they will know where you're paying, where you are spending your money. They will keep tabs on where you will spend, and they will use it for marketing. They will target you.
Of course they do.
There's nothing positive in my mind on this.
Thanks for the comments. Just a response to that, I tend to agree with most. The banks sell all your data. We're worth lots of money to the advertisers to know where we spend and what we do. Facebook, how much does Facebook charge any of us for all that free shit we get? Excuse the French. 0. Anybody use Facebook, Google, you assume. I have a better question. How many of you in this room have read Facebook's terms of service? None of you, I can virtually guarantee it. How many of you use Facebook? You know by signing on to Facebook, you give them all rights to everything in your Facebook account, period. If you don't like it, like I said, I have my son, my eldest son, he doesn't use Facebook, he doesn't believe in it, he doesn't think. There's no free lunch in this world, guys. We know that. No free lunch. Facebook's a profit-making business, a very profitable business, selling our data. If you don't like that, don't use it. So with that, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dan.